What is so something you used to live and breath for years but now don't? Story 1. The Marvel Universe. My dad used to be my Marvel bro, and we'd obsess over it, watch all the trailers, theorize, go see the films on opening day. It was awesome. Infinity War was in the slightly distant future, and it was gonna be epic. I lost him just before Doctor Strange came out. I still go see them, and sometimes people come with me, but it's not the same when they don't get the references. I miss him like hell. I miss always having something to look forward to. Story 2. Partying. I was the life of the party, got chronic migraine, and now alcohol is a trigger. I don't miss it, but it's interesting to find out who only liked me when I was drunk. Story 3. The show The Walking Dead. When it first came out, I was downright obsessed with it. I always talked about it, always wore merch for it, and watched it on repeat. Norman Reedus, or Daryl in the show, was also a big part of this obsession. I stopped being so obsessed with it all once a few seasons went by. Edit. By a few season, I mean I stopped after season 8, LOL. And after I got my first boyfriend. Story 4. Man, remember MySpace? I used to spend hours on there customizing my profile, choosing the perfect song to represent my mood, and making sure my top friends list was just right. It was the place to be, and everyone was on it. Now, I can't even remember the last time I logged in or heard anyone mention it. It's like it just disappeared overnight. Story 5. Music. Playing my guitar more specifically. Would play for HRS and HRS, or if I had the day off from work, I would practice, play all day if able. I was quite good, but I haven't even picked up my guitar for about the last 5 years. I'm probably rusty as fuck now, but life happens. Story 6. But mine is football, soccer. Grew up loving it and wanting to be a pro player. Followed it religiously. Consumed most of my personal time playing or watching it. If I had no one to play with, I played it on my own after school until it was time for me to come in for bed. I now only watch during certain times, and not with any passion at all. Story 7. Was vegan for 8 years, like full vegan, very, very vegan. I am no longer vegan. I had a baby, did baby-led weaning, and accidentally baby-led weaned myself into getting comfortable with animal products. Also, I only have so many fucks to give, and they're all going towards my daughter now. My nails are so much stronger. My skin is happier, less dry. I stay warm now when others get cold, probably having something to do with the 15 pounds I gained. It's all quite freeing. Story 8. Veterinary medicine, emergency, critical care. 55 hours a week working overnights, weekends, and holidays. Pretty much any time a regular vet clinic would be closed. 5:30 p.m. till 8 a.m. the following morning if the owners came on time to pick up their pets to transfer or take home. On the weekends, it was so busy, you were lucky to make it to the bathroom before wetting yourself from holding it. I went 10 years without a holiday off with my family, and then got mocked the year I asked for my birthday off. What, are you 12? I went to school for this. I literally went to school for this, and it became my life. At the end of many years, I was done, burned out and exhausted. I loved the medicine and the challenge of difficult cases. I hated the toxic, high-stress workplace. I would come home with mystery bruises and cuts with no idea how I got them. Being a vet tech is a physical job. I met some amazing people and learned from them all. I also got my tires cut, had a gun pulled on me, and had clients physically attack because an emergency vet visit isn't free, and I was a cruel, heartless person who was going to let their animal, who laid up in the yard for 5 days before they got excited about it, die. I'm not in the field now, and while I do miss parts of it, I have a life now, and I can sleep at night. Story 9. I used to live and breathe politics in Australia. Even moved across the country for it. Majored in it at uni. Until in 2013, I overheard someone in the Youth Politics League say something so vile about kids with disabilities and laugh about it. It was a glass-shattering moment in my mind, and my eyes opened to all the things I ignored or rationalized in my head. All the negativity and nastiness and brutality. I withdrew myself from party politics entirely. That person is now an elected member of parliament, and I never felt so vindicated in a choice I made than I did when I found that out. It goes to show how C-saked up the system is that people like that can excel. Career politicians are disgusting, self-absorbed, self-promoting, bigoted liars, and you will never ever change my mind. Story 10. NFL, professional football, American. As a kid, I watched every game possible. Now I can see it for what it is, a corporate con game by billionaires. They take a city's name, get the city to build the stadium with city taxes, tear down neighborhoods using eminent domain, kicking poor people out of possibility the only house they will own, provide low-paying seasonal jobs and tell you that it's a city pride thing. They use and abuse the players for a very brief amount of time and then throw them away with life-debilitating injuries. I haven't watched a game in 5 years and won't buy any team gear ever again. I get so many things done on Sunday now. Story 11, definitely social media. I used to post constantly all day, every day on Facebook and Twitter, Instagram weekly. Then one day I canceled all my accounts and went 5 years without it. Never want to go back. It feels weird to express my interests to 1,000 people who I'll probably never socialize with again. I don't care what people know about me. But back in the day, it was an entirely different story, starting with MySpace. Story 12. Video games. I was born in the early 80s, have owned every system going forward from then, a few most people have never heard of. I have been gaming just about every single day of my life, always helped me to forget about the real world, and gave me something to look forward to. However, in the past year, I have not gamed at all. My love for it is completely dead. Last year was my first time ever missing a major game release. I believe it has a lot to do with a combination of age, the poor quality of games nowadays, and the poor quality of gamer, and the community that have just made me lose interest. Story 13. Major League Baseball used to check box scores daily, play Stratomatic fantasy baseball, etc. The way MLB had been played recently is just so boring. I actually watch NBA preseason games instead of the World Series. Baseball used to be my absolute favorite. Story 14. Going to school for almost 18 years, then one last time for university. Suddenly, I am not. Suddenly, I am thrown into the crossroads of life, with all the doors previously locked, now thrown wide open with an almost infinite number of choices, with no hands to hold on to, with no support to lean on while everyone just walked on by. Unable to find a job, even after 9 months in this walking history, even after having put my effort into this meritocracy everyone spoke of, doing my best only to be beaten down and told that you won't find any by recruiters, parents telling you to stop complaining when you talk to them about your pain, siblings telling you to just keep doing this seemingly random and almost nihilistic action. Every day I feel myself degrading, even when I'm trying to keep myself relevant for a job application. Every day I feel like my speech might be slurring, dying every waking moment. Story 15. I've had several hobbies in my life over the years. I'm now 60. At the time, I absolutely loved doing all of them. Playing instruments, flying small planes, scuba diving, karate, tennis, ice hockey, baseball, juggling, cross-country skiing, surfing, sailing, horseback riding, home building, with all the disciplines that go with it. Slab, framing, roofing, electrical, plumbing, flooring, sheetrocking, etc. Now I have newer hobbies and I can't imagine living without them. My point is that I've loved doing so many things, and at the time they were things that I didn't want to live without. Life is amazing. Story 16. Football. I grew up in Texas where it's pretty much a religion. Our whole town went to high school games on Fridays. Then 2 things happened. First, I saw the movie Concussion. Then I heard an interview with a quarterback I loved where he said if he got the chance to do it all over again, he wouldn't. Too many concussions ruined his quality of life. So now I can't watch young men destroying their own health for my entertainment. I gave it up completely. Story 17. When I was younger, I was living with my parents. They were toxic people, but I always felt it is my fault. I was best at school, but was kicked by my school friends. In home, I was beaten by my father. No one really cared about me too much, except my grandma. I believed that my parents had all this problems because of lack of money, and I will take a job and help them. After years of abuse, I decided to leave the house. I found a job of giving flyers and rented a small room. I met other people and started to realize how wrong was I. It took years to connect facts. Notice sipping wine every day by my father was an alcohol addiction and connected to his mood swings and anger towards me. So year after year, I was less interested to contact with my parents. Now I have friends, lovely wife, a child, and a baggage I carry all my life. I tried to reconnect several times with my parents, but they always try to destroy my relationships even now. So yes, I believed my parents are good, and I was bad child. Now I know it was not true. They are the bad ones. It is hard living with this and sharing, but it is anonymous answer, and maybe it will help me to voice it or someone else. Story 18, swimming, but replaced with writing. I swam since I was 8, competitively. I was in high school and college, flying across the country for competitions, winning medals, etc. However, there's not much money in pro swimming. nor was I good enough for that level, so I stopped completely. During COVID, I got out of shape for the first time ever, and I have no idea how to get back into it just from my health or from being out of shape. However, also during COVID, I actualized my love for movies and books into writing short stories and hopefully a successful novel or screenplay. I really replaced one with the other, but I really should find a balance of both. Story 19. From 2016 to 2021, my life was Pokemon Go. And I have nothing against the game. It's a very fun game that is pretty unique and has lots of out-of-game bonuses like making friends and getting exercise and exploring new places. But personally, it was just controlling my life. I had to plan my entire life around the game and it became more of a burden than an enjoyable experience. I don't regret it at all, but it was so freeing, finally quitting. Story 20. I used to argue hard over politics and social issues on the internet. While I do still care deeply, I only do what's within my physical and mental capacity. I know people will always deem you a POS for putting your needs above others, but my mental health has improved significantly since I gave up arguing online. I know people hate me for it, and I'm sure I've lost a few friends that way, but I also no longer want to kill myself, so I think it balances out. Story 21. Competing in bodybuilding shows. It was super fun and addictive for a while, but then I realized it's basically giving yourself an eating disorder with a ton of stress and no energy for quite a few months of hard work all just to peak for one day. You can't stay that shredded year-round, not without drugs or feeling like you've been hit by a truck. I learned a fuck ton of discipline, though, realized I'm a lot tougher than I ever thought, and I got some pretty epic photos. But it was legit all I ate, slept, and breathed for about 4 years, and I'm really happy to have other hobbies and a much more balanced life now. Also, I used to be food-obsessed, but after learning so much about my body, I'm really able to enjoy moderation now. Story 22. RuneScape. Once upon a childhood, I could quote you the going rates for all big commodities. Started with coal and lobby cert, and just kept on till I wasn't even really playing the game and just using the grand exchange when that was introduced. It wasn't really fun anymore, but damned if I didn't make millions. Wish I could have been that motivated for something real LOL. Story 23. Missing a Base Nectar show felt like an irredeemable loss at one point. Was like 90% of the music I listened to. Most of my non-essential budget went into seeing him at various events or festivals. Nowadays, he is throwing shows again, and I haven't even listened to his latest album. Eat shit, Lauren. Story 24. When I was younger, I had to go out every weekend, whether it be for drinks and dancing, movies, having dinner. Guess as I've got older, I've wanted to save more for meaningful stuff. Lucky if I go out once a month, and I don't mind at all. Wanting to climb the corporate ladder, being a manger or supervisor, couldn't think of anything worse now and just happy with my 9-5 job. Having a boyfriend in my 20s would barely come up for fresh air, one I think was only 2 days in between. Nothing wrong with being on your own. Story 25. Live sports. Used to love watching and going to games, be it football, soccer, hockey, whatever. Once the pandemic happened, I seriously stopped giving a shit altogether. Even as things normalized again, I just never picked it back up. Haven't been to a sported event since, and haven't watched any games on TV. There are times I'll hear the piece of news or someone mention something about a team, and I'll think, didn't even realize it was XYZ season. It's interesting and kind of freeing, not giving a shit about the world of sports. Story 26. A podcast called Welcome to Night Vale. People in my life were actually starting to get concerned about it. Between 2015 to 2019, I was a massive fan. I used to make fan art pieces, and I had an alternative Instagram account just for it, even went as far as to edit some of the audio clips into creepy compilations. But 2020 happened, and I got hospitalized for about 3 weeks, and I've not been the same since. I still occasionally listen to an episode here and there, but it's not the same. But I've since deleted those accounts. Story 27. Organizing and being neat. I've gotten more laid back recently. I just been like that naturally all my life, so I am beat sometimes, but not obsessed. Like when I was in Instagram, I would follow all these organization people, companies and organizing product companies, and tried to do all that when I had a house. But I moved and just got so saturated and sick of that crap, I unfollowed all that and eventually left Instagram. Felt so better to just relax and not be like I have to have a perfect pantry or cabinet like those people. Sometimes I get messy or don't out laundry away or keep stuff out to put away later that is okay. I'm usually not messy and a procrastinator, so sometimes I give myself permission to let go. Story 28. Hansen. From ages 11, 23 I was obsessed. I lived on their fan club forums and traveled up and down the East Coast to see them. Furthest I went was to Oklahoma to see them. I'm from Philly. Twice. Eventually, it got old. I think I had started branching out and meeting more people, so I just didn't need it anymore. I got to the point that I was more excited to see old internet friends than seeing the bands, and I didn't like having to go to a concert to see people. I craved a close friendship, and I wasn't going to get that from people I saw sporadically at concerts. It was sad, but for the best. I'm happy for Facebook so I can keep in touch without spending a two of money seeing them. Story 29. Guns and target shooting. I used to love to go shooting. In the woods, at the range. I'd sit through an hour of traffic, wait for a bench, unload everything, load back up, go home, clean everything. I'd go at least once a month, and then a few times a year, and then maybe twice a year. And then ... IT just kind of drifted off. I still own all my stuff, but it doesn't spark joy for me like it used to. And friends have gotten into guns and they try to talk to me about them because they're excited, but I just can't get that excitement back. And it's been years. And this is despite the fact that I live within a few minutes a big gun range. Last time I went was 2020. Did I have fun? Hell yeah, once I was out there. But I had to really force myself out. I have other hobbies, namely cars and cycling now. I like bikes because as I get older, I need to keep the weight off and keep healthy. And it allows me to do it whilst having fun and tinkering with things. Story 30. Caring so much about how I look, what others think, caring more about others than myself. I got COVID and became permanently disabled, and all those people who I put above all else, who I would drop anything for when they called, all disappeared as soon as I stopped being their only call doer. I can no longer make the extravagant goodies, hell, I can't even come to the party now, but they still will ask if I can do XYZ, and when I say I am still unfortunately in a wheelchair, etc., they tell me to give them a call as soon as I'm better. Made me really realize so much and said much wasted effort, so much wasted energy.